It turns out not all crazy conspiracy theories are created equal. That's just science. Is Think Thing on? So it was the anniversary of 9/11 recently, and that night I was watching some news show that talked about 9/11 truther conspiracies, and they segued from that to QAnon and other conspiracies propagated by conservative media outlets and wingnuts on the right. Then they made the rather important point that trutherism sort of reached its zenith among the fringier parts of lefty politics in the mid-2000s, and that critically, those conspiracy crackpots did not win elected office for the most part.
Investigate 9/11. 9/11 was perpetrated by people within our own government.
The Democratic Party largely protected itself from being taken over by its conspiratorial id. Unlike the unhinged conspiracies touted by right-wing outlets,
these are transgender black Marxists who are seeking the overthrow of the United States.
9/11 trutherism remained rightfully relegated to the fringe of lefty political culture, where it remains.
How can they gather so many assholes on a day like this in one spot? I really don't know.
While true believers of the right wing's batshit nonsense have actually been winning and holding elected office for years now, it's a difference that matters. What 9/11 trutherism, QAnon, and some of these other conspiracy theories have in common is a distrust of authority and official explanations, combined with the desire to ascribe willful nefarious intent to otherwise chaotic events, amped up by the conspiracy theorists' own confirmation bias. Sandy Hook wasn't a lone disturbed individual armed by a culture that worships firearms, the argument goes. It was a false flag concocted by shadowy government actors who wanted to take away your guns. 9/11 wasn't merely the result of nefarious intent by Islamic extremists, it was the result of nefarious intent by shadowy government actors who wanted to start a war in the Middle East, etc. This got me thinking that there's another key difference between trutherism and your run-of-the-mill right-wing conspiracy bullshit. While it's difficult to convince any conspiracy theory-believing person that what they believe is nonsense, because definitionally believing in the conspiracy theory requires that one not accept evidence that contradicts the theory in question, at least with 9/11 truthers, you usually have to actually escalate the conversation to engineers and experts in fairly technical fields in order to satisfy the most commonly cited reasons for the distrust of the official version of what happened. I mean, I don't actually think you need to get as technical as all that, because I think much more axiomatic differences in how people see and interpret the world are really at the center of why some people believe crazy shit and some people don't. But the bulk of the specific points that are raised by 9/11 truthers, in my experience, require technical answers in fields that I myself am not an expert in. Yeah, not so much with the Sandy Hook yahoos and the Pizzagators of the world. I just don't think appealing to a PhD or citing an engineering paper that notes the tensile strength of steel at certain temperatures is required to refute claims that, say, Hillary Clinton and Democratic Party members engaged in child sex trafficking in the basement of a pizza parlor. What I'm saying is that left-wing conspiracy nonsense is way cooler than right-wing conspiracy nonsense.
Our country! Proud fucking American! Made in USA, bitch! Made in fucking USA!
Yeah, those 9/11 truthers may be deeply misguided, unscientific rubes who are victims of their own confirmation bias. But you know what? They're our deeply misguided, unscientific rubes who are victims of their own confirmation bias. If you don't like this video and subscribe to this channel, then the world will literally come to an end and it will be your fault.